Okay, and we are live. Welcome. This is Jennifer Nearance with the Academy of Holistic Healing.com and my dear friend Michaela.
Hi, Jennifer. Michaela Kennedy here with startingmyownbusiness.org.
Oh, Michaela and I were just talking as we were setting up and getting ready. It is a very unusual day today, and we're both feeling it. There's stuff going on in the atmosphere, in the cosmos, and people around us. And as both of us are very sensitive, and we were commenting that our audience is going to be very like-minded people, very sensitive to what's going on, just wanted to remind you that even on those days when you're feeling a little out of sorts, remember it might not necessarily be you, and be okay with saying, oh, wait, this is not me. It's okay to set it aside and keep walking through, keep going about your day, and keep honoring your commitments and keep showing up, keep taking a step one after the other, and you will soon realize that you're doing your part to help move humanity forward, believe it or not, as weird and esoteric as that sounds. But as we continue to move ourselves forward, we're actually helping others move through what's going on, excuse me, as well as working through our own stuff. Which, strangely enough, brings us to the topic of today, which we wanted to get into. And I'm just really jumping in for whatever reason.
Good. Jump in. Yes. It feels like we need to move fast to the point today.
Yeah, there's very little preamble. And boy, my bluntness is in full form today. So,
Good. That's why I love you.
So our topic, our limiting belief today is I'm not educated enough. And this one just absolutely, it is so much in my face in one form or another in people that I meet. It's just...
Oh, it's in my face too, and I'm trying to hold back so I don't start interrupting you already.
Well, in our conversations earlier, Michaela, you and I were talking about how there's such a huge difference between training and education and practice, and people having to go and do case studies and get numbers of hours logged in for like massage therapists, and for even in our Reiki training, we had to log so many hours of sessions prior to going to the...
And it can be anything, dental hygienists.
Yeah.
If I just want to preface it for a moment that I've been seeing a lot. I do follow every state here in the United States has an economic development commission. And they offer a lot of training to people, and there is a lot of grant money available from the government for workforce people, because we have got such a huge problem with unemployment and underemployment, that I'm also seeing a lot of professionals like human resource people being interviewed and admitting straight up front that they will not hire somebody who is overqualified, because there's a fear that they will leave soon, that they'll tire easy, that they'll get bored easy. I completely disagree with that. I think there are a lot of people who are just so thankful to have a job in this economy, and then they find out that they actually enjoy working, and they end up contributing to a company in such a way that, you know, they're so grateful that they've received something that they will stay. But that's the nature of it. So the point let me get back to my point here, is that what is happening is the government and the grant money is going a lot toward people who do not have training, who may only have a GED or are high school dropouts, who do not have college degrees or higher degrees. And it's a little, so what we're talking about here is not just people who have got training that don't have the confidence to go ahead with it, but also that, you know, don't take that as meaning that you don't need training. We need training for everything. We do. We need to understand. We do need education, and we do need training. With that said, I think a lot of our viewers, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jennifer, but I think a lot of our viewers that are gravitating toward us these days are people who do have a level of education, who do understand that training is important, and they also have a vision, an entrepreneurial vision, an understanding, enough of a sense of what's going on in our society to know that if you have a dream and you have a vision, by golly, this is the time to grab onto it.
Yes.
I remember 25 years ago when I was in Japan, and I was there when the bubble crashed and many people lost their jobs. It was a very bad economic situation, very similar to what we're experiencing here. We've been experiencing since 2008 right here in America. Many of my friends, it was a great time for me because many of my friends were saying bad economic times are wonderful situations for cultivating ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
if you are watching us, if you are gravitating toward what we're saying, we're telling you that despite what's going on out there, despite what's going on economically, this is a fantastic time for you to move forward with the ideas. Because if you don't do it now, you'll never do it.
Yeah.
Now, getting back to what we're talking about, what Jennifer just mentioned, is that we're talking about what's holding us back from making those jumps.
Yes.
From knowing that you have the education, knowing you have the knowledge, knowing that you have the power to do it, but maybe not lacking the confidence or transitioning that into action. Mm-hmm. Yes?
Exactly. And if you find that there's something that you're wanting to go into and you honestly, truly need to get further education, great. That's not what's holding you back. Then it's an action step that you're taking. You go and you get the training. That is an action step.
Yes.
The next action step is taking your knowledge and actually using it, putting it into practice, because that is where really the rubber meets the road. The learning goes on here, and it's fabulous, and we fill our heads with all this amazing knowledge. But until we actually act on it and fine-tune it and realize, oh, they said you go from A to B, but what they didn't tell you is that you had to go around this boulder, jump over a creek, climb up this flight of stairs, and then you get to B. They didn't say anything about that.
Yeah.
So how do I get around that boulder? Oh, you mean I have to go walk in the mud? Oh, man.
Gotta go through it. Gotta go through it.
Yeah. But until you start walking out what you know, you don't really know it. You've got it in your head, but you haven't gotten the practical experience. And that requires action. And that is where the fear comes in. Excuse me. So the fear of not being educated enough, if you realize that that is a reality, that you do need training, like I'm not a massage therapist, so if I want to go and start manipulating muscles and joints, and I can't do that for a living until I get further educated. That is not.
And there's a fear there too. I mean, we were just talking about this last week, and even the week before. It comes up every week when we say, you know, we run into these obstacles. The obstacle does not have to. You don't need to use an excuse. I'm not educated enough, and so therefore I'm not going to do it. What you do is you learn it and you practice it.
Yes. And it's the practice part that people seem to get stuck on because it requires the action. And I know that I bring this up a lot because it is my walking out thing, is getting that membership site up and running. I know how to do one. I know how to create this. Go through all the steps. Everything should be wonderful and lovely in a perfect world. We don't. I don't live in a perfect world.
No, none of us do.
Yeah, no, reality.
And none of us get out of here alive either. We only have a certain amount of time here, so we have to make the most of it. We really should. It's our one opportunity to do good.
Yes. Yes. And it's the whole walking out of it, taking it from head knowledge to practical knowledge, that it turns it from knowledge to wisdom. And that is really scary because I've had to look like an idiot in my own head. And then I've had to look at that and go, well, why do I feel like an idiot? I shouldn't. Why should I think I should know how to do this? I don't know how to do this. I've never actually done it before. I've learned it, but I haven't done it. And then you had to ask for help. And then I have to go back to the person who created the plugin for this membership site and say, I can't make this work. Can you help me? And have them,
and very often find that there's something outside ours that has nothing to do with our not being able to do with it. It was a tweak that had to be done that hadn't been done before, and
yes.
It's not, we find excuses for things. We are either blaming ourselves and using that as an excuse for inaction, or we blame other people too. Mm-hmm. How many times have you heard within this online marketing world that I know some wonderful, incredible mentors, and people are screaming scam artist because they don't understand there's actually work involved, and they have to take action.
Yes.
And you can watch all of the webinars in the world, but until you take what you have learned and implement it, it's going to be spinning the wheels, and it's not the mentor's fault.
Right.
The mentor has given you all the tools.
Yep.
It's not their responsibility to run a business for you as well, or to run your life for that matter.
Yes. 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 I feel strongly about this one. Can you tell? That's the.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Well, because it is one. If you're not. Have to be careful about how far up on my soapbox I get on this one, but nobody can do this stuff for you. Nobody can build your business for you. Nobody can do your personal growth work for you. Nobody can do this for you. We can be with you. We can show you. We can help you. But nobody can put one foot in front of the other but you. Just like nobody gets the rewards but you. It really is kind of a bitch, but that's the way it is. And sitting back and complaining and wanting someone else to do it for us is robbing ourselves of the end reward.
I want to say something, though, is that we don't need to beat ourselves up for inaction either. What is very important is if you're not taking the steps to move into implementation, or you're unclear, or because we all are there. I know I've been there, mm-hmm. And in fact, I'd like to share a personal story with you right now about my lack of action in moving forward with my business until just recently. One of my mentors said, when you really have gone in and you find what it is that is your obstacle, and very often it's as simple as not having your desire clear. If you're spending so much time, and maybe I should say we, not just you, but if we're spending so much time pointing fingers, those three other fingers are pointing back at ourselves. Maybe we need to go deeper into ourselves, because once we shift and understand what that is, we take off with it. Mm-hmm. I want to give you an example. There is a website that I'm building out right now. It's about parrots and wild birds and conservation. I feel very passionate about the pet trade and the disservice that we do to animals, and animal welfare is very close to my heart. But I didn't like all the fighting and controversy that was going on. I was having a very hard time developing this website and developing the plan that would be serving pet owners and serving people, and in turn serving the animals, so that they don't get kicked to the curb and they don't end up filling up all of the pet rescues and everything. And I was going through it because I didn't want to get into the fights, and I didn't want, and I was dragging my feet, and then the more I dragged my feet, the more I was beating myself up, saying, why am I not taking action on this, and not quite understanding, being very unclear about it. And the thing that helped me was meditation, and it's always meditation. That's always the thing where I find my revelations. And I meditated deeply, and I started to ask the right questions. You've got to find the questions, and if you don't know whether or not the question is right or not, keep asking more questions, because sooner or later you're going to figure out that you did ask the right question, and it may come as a surprise to you. Mm-hmm. But the question was, it's why am I dragging my feet on this? Please help me to understand this. And I realized that I didn't want to be taking advantage of anybody and being accused of profiting from this controversy and everything. And then the light came. In every war, there's a third party that's fueling the war and making money off it. And that used to always bother me, and I used to stand on my own soapbox pointing my fingers at people like, well, the Rockefellers during World War II and all those other people that made so much money in past wars. But the message that I got from my spirit speaking to me, from spirit speaking to me, is that all positive and negative things are taken care of. It doesn't really matter where that comes from. If you know that when you receive, that you're going to turn around and do good for society and you're going to contribute to society with it, then it's okay. It doesn't really matter. Now, I'm not saying go out and doing something illegal. That's not what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. But if you have any kind of turmoil about what you're doing, ask yourself the question in meditation.
And the thing fabulous. And I have to say, you and I did not talk about this prior to right now. But I created a little document kind of going through some of this stuff.
For the last 5 minutes, I've been wanting to ask you, do you have a document for us today?
I do.
I had a feeling you had something. I could see it in my mind's eye floating around. I'm so happy.
Okay, so now can you see my screen?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Belief. I'm not educated enough.
Okay, so this belief keeps people stuck in their heads, professional students. Okay, and we've already talked about this, about, learning is absolutely fabulous. It has its place. It keeps our synapses firing, and that is a good thing. But in order to get out of our head of ideas into practical experience of wisdom, that we must act. Moving from thoughts to actions requires belief in oneself, faith that any action is better than no action, and that it allows Spirit, the universe, God, whatever your belief is, you can direct a rolling rock to the correct path, and it's so much easier to direct something that is in motion than to get something moving in the first place. You take the action, you get moving, and things will start to shift around you. And this is where we bring into the questions, what is your goal? What do you want? What do you want to do, want to be, want to have? We don't need to know the how, but you need to deeply connect with the what and the why. What do you want and why do you want it? And trust that the how will arrive.
Amen, sister. Amen.
And how do you go about doing that? Spend at least 5 minutes every day in the feeling of what it is that you want, as if it were already here. Journal about what your life is after you've attained your first set of goals. Really get into that reality.
Absolutely. Journal it, yes.
Finding a release modality that will help you to move over, under, around, or through whatever the blocks are that are showing up. And here's my own personal plug. You know my preference is meridian tapping or EFT because it's so fast and effective. But some other modalities: vibrational therapy, Reiki, active meditation, crystal bowls. And for you, Michaela, meditation is an active meditation. And
yes, meditation is very strong in my life.
Yes.
It's it's not just a relaxation thing. You know, I think we talked about this in the past, where people fall asleep and then they wake up and they go, oh wow, I did such a deep meditation. No, you didn't. You
Right.
took a nap.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
It's understanding that meditation is relaxing awareness. But
Yes.
it is all about, and that's where I remember years ago my brother said to me, I said, do you meditate? And he said, on what? And at first, you know, at that time, I thought he was being just sarcastic, and he was being my brother. But looking back on it also is there does need to be a focus, even if it's only your breath.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's bringing it back to center, to it's heightening that awareness.
Yes.
In the past, did I in one of our earlier sessions, did I tell you the story about Albert Einstein and his meditative? I think I may have.
I honestly, I don't
I'll say
remember.
it. As we've been going through the last 20 minutes here, it's been really pushing me to tell this story.
Then tell
I did a lot of research years ago on different energy things. It had to do with a huge research and book project on near-death experience. And one of the focuses was on some of these great people like Albert Einstein and what made them a genius. And he was adamant that he was not a genius. He dropped out of school. But one thing that he did that he didn't admit to most people, I found this by ferreting into deep information, that he meditated. And he meditated frequently. He did 20 minutes, and he did it maybe a dozen times a day. And he would get his inspiration from that. He said, I'm not necessarily educated more than anybody else, and I don't necessarily have a strong brain. But what he did have was he had focus, and he got it from meditation. And in fact, he was weak. He was so weak that within his meditation, he never got to the point where he was strong enough to be able to bring himself out of it himself. So he would sit in a chair with metal balls in his hand, and he would put metal pens on the floor. And as he started to slip off, his hands would drop and they'd wake him up because they'd clatter onto the metal pans on the floor. And then from there, whatever his inspiration was, he would run and journal. And it's just what you're talking about, just a few minutes ago, and it is right on there. You know, take a few minutes every day and be within that feeling and be within that center and bring your awareness to focus and journal about it.
Yeah.
There's a fabulous book that's coming to head called The Way of the Artist. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Morning pages.
Yeah. Powerful, powerful stuff. There is not a human on the planet that has gone through that book and actively worked with that book that has not had major breakthroughs.
Yep. Yeah, because it's really enlightening going through and finding out what all the stuff is that's going on and actually clearing it out by the simple act of writing.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
Yep, that's very powerful. Well, I really appreciate that story because that huge confirmation to the things that have been floating around for the last few months, and to have them all coalesce today to write down in that paper was nice, and the confirmation is awesome. And there was one last sentence on there that I want to share with you guys real quick because it's really, really important, and I think it's a step that so many of us forget. Pay attention to your victories and get in the habit of celebrating yourself.
Celebrating yourself. I'm awesome.
Yeah. Well, seriously, and it's for me, even today, the thing that I'm celebrating is the fact that we are doing this webinar even when we both have a long list of excuses to be able to put it off. Mm-hmm. This is a celebration of persevering, of making sure that the commitments are honored and sharing this message with people. Because you and I both know that if we're feeling like this and we're coming up against so much of this stuff, we're not the only ones. So in some ways, I feel that
Absolutely. You know, it's funny how many excuses we can find. There's a woman that I know that has she's a wonderful artist, and she's written a couple of books, and she's done workshops with her books. Her topic is very sensitive. It's about sexual abuse survivors. And it's a topic that is so highly sensitive. Unfortunately, it's a prevalent problem within many societies, but it's very taboo to talk about. And she's had the courage to move forward. And when she first put herself out there, she was so scared, but she put herself out there, and she ended up having quite a few responses. And she had a wonderful 6-week workshop series that she did. So then the second time she did it, she actually got a little bit too confident and was feeling really good about it, and just figured that if she did the same thing to the same group, the same kind of press release, the same marketing that she did the first time, that she would get even more people. Well, the second time, no one showed up. And it made me wonder, that because her response was, instead of taking responsibility to say, okay, why did that not happen, and what didn't work and what can work, and to really hone in on where the obstacles were, which is what these weeks are all about, our limiting beliefs.
yes.
She said to me, God didn't want me to do it. God wanted me to sit still. And I thought, wow. I wanted so badly to say, God helps those who help themselves, but I knew that it wasn't going to be taken very nicely, so I just did what you're doing right now. I went, like that. It's very difficult to give other people advice, but when you hear things that don't resound very well with you, that kind of friction, maybe we need to look at ourselves and say, what is it that's irritating me? What is it that I want to do that I'm not doing?
Yes.
Because that is often the case where fears and anger arise.
Yes. Yep. And I'm sitting here, and I know that time-wise, we still have a half an hour, but this is really wrapping up. I feel it very strongly.
Yes.
But there is something
covered
that
a lot already. That was a power-packed half hour.
Yeah, and I just wanted to share one other thing with you guys, and this is on an astrological level, and I don't want to put anybody off. I'm not saying, I'm just going to share something that I came across that resonates really strongly with me, and in fact is kind of lighting a fire under me. So I'm just going to share, and you guys can take it how you want. And in fact, I will even include the link in not in the chat box, but after this goes live on Google Plus and on YouTube, I will put a link on where I got this information so that you can research it on your own. This is an actual article from a gentleman by the name of Mark Dodich, who is an astrologer in Portland, Oregon, who I actually also know. He's a friend of mine. And he is writing about what is going on in astrological terms, as far as, the last few years have been really rough with all the way that the planets have been lining up and the impact that that's had in people here. I just want to bring it full circle. So the title of this is called Jupiter, God of Abundance, Travels Through Leo, Opening Your Heart to Expansive Opportunities. Okay, so something wonderful is happening for a full year beginning July 16th, 2014. Abundant opportunities are available if you just know how to access them. The optimistic god of luck and good fortune, Jupiter, journeys through heart-centered Leo until August 2015. This expansive energy supports your creativity and leadership skills. Although this sounds fortunate, and it is, there is a price to pay to receive the blessings now available to you. Jupiter is a risk taker. He is directly tied to your belief system. One price is that you must be willing to expand your belief system. You must step out of your comfort zone. Take a moment to think back to life changes since the previous time Jupiter was in Leo, August 2002 to August 2003. What shifted in your life then and during in the last 12 years that opened your philosophy to a new level? We live in an abundant and unlimited universe, so you must be willing to step outside the limiting box of your beliefs. If you believe the bad economy or being too old, I swear to God I'm reading it. I did not provide him a script. Okay? If you believe the bad economy or being too old or some other external factor of lack means you cannot manifest your dream, then you must stop and reconnect to your higher self. You are much more than what you see when you look in the mirror or at your bank account. The second price you must pay is that a leap of faith is required. If you are only willing to take an action to create your dreams, if there is a guarantee, you are forgetting a core concept of universal law. The universe is here to do your bidding, but you must first establish your intent. Have you ever noticed that when it is time to go to the next level, things start to break all at the same time around your home or office? Or when there is a new project, there is that initial sluggish time period when you must invest time and or money to get it moving. That is not a punishment. It is the universe asking you if you're really serious about your intent. So I will post the rest of this. I don't want to read it all. I'm just saying.
Oh, I love that. The universe is asking you for skin in the game.
Yeah, exactly. How do what is it that you want? And are you serious about wanting it? If so, great, step out and I'll support you, but you're going to have to prove it to me. And that isn't a scary thing. That's simply a standing in your space saying, yes, this is what I want. I believe in myself. I believe in the possibility of having it. I know that I'm worthy. I know that I'm capable, and I know that the world is ready. So bring it on. And we are finally in that space. So I just wanted to share with everybody because I know that the last few years have been really, really rough. And we are finally reaching that point of just keep believing it. Keep standing in that space. Keep taking action and allow yourself to expand. And that word allow is huge. That word is frickin' huge. Allow it. Invite it in. Welcome it when it comes in. Say, yes, I'm ready. Take that step to meet it with your hand out. And you'll be amazed and thrilled at what shows up.
Yeah, absolutely. Boy, that was very powerful, Jennifer. Thanks so much for sharing that.
Yeah, you're
I
welcome.
look forward to reading that myself later.
Cool.
To just bring it full circle, I'm not educated enough.
Uh-huh.
We use this in a lot of different ways. In some cases, it's true, we're not educated enough, but when we need to go out, as you said, you can't be a massage therapist without that certification or without at least some experience knowing what you're doing. And then there are those who are highly educated who don't have the confidence, and I've experienced this one. I've always over-educated myself or over-researched to the point of sickness to make sure I grasp it before stepping out. And so what is the bridge that we offer people today that moves them from place of understanding it and from an intellectual point of view, from having the knowledge, to actually implementing it, to say, I am an expert and I have the authority to do this, to give this to teach or to do whatever, to start a business, to go out there and do it?
That's a fabulous question. And the most active way that I can think of, other than doing tapping routines on it, the fastest and easiest way is to turn it around. Why am I so qualified to
Good question. Let's write this one down. Why am I qualified?
Yeah, and it's actually, why am I so qualified? Why am I perfectly qualified for this? What is the unique message or way that I do whatever that makes me perfect for my market? Why is it that I have so many people that are waiting impatiently for me to step into this market to service them, and that sounded bad, but to provide a service for them to meet their needs? What is it about me that makes me that perfect fit? And you will be shocked and amazed at the things that your subconscious comes up with. Because if you're asking the question, you already know that you're good for it. You just have to get your head around it.
Yes.
And it's one of the first ones that's going to come up for most people is because I've been there. I know what it feels like. I know the angst of not having whatever. I know the frustration of not getting that information at the time when you need it. I know what it's like to be up against that wall and have nobody understand what I'm going through. And all I need is someone to say, yes, you're still on the right track. Keep going. I believe in you. Here's a different hammer. This is the one that you need that'll break through that particular wall.
Oh, yes. Use this tool, not that tool.
Yes,
oh, yeah.
yes. And it's not that you don't, a lot of times we come up against these things and we know how to get through it. We're just using the wrong tool.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That to me is the one that is the most powerful, and it goes hand in hand with journaling, because a lot of our deepest, darkest fears come out in the journaling, which is fabulous because it gives you such an insight into what you're running up against, what you're fighting, what you're battling,
and we have taught, society teaches us to keep that hidden so much. We're afraid to reach out. It's just like the study group. You study with a group, you go into a study group, you're going to do so much better because you find a comfort place to practice what you know. For a whole year, actually it was probably longer than that, I was hoping to find a mastermind, and I have manifested it now, and I'm with a group of very powerful entrepreneurial women that all have got the vision and that are moving forward, and they don't sit there and gossip and whine to each other. We ask ourselves the right questions. We say, where are we today? We meet every 2 weeks. Where do we want to be in 2 weeks, and how are we going to get there?
Yes.
And then we hold each other accountable and we're all taking notes. And so it's finding that it's amazing how when you're working with a group energy that you can help to propel yourself forward and get rid of these limiting beliefs.
And you mentioned something brilliant about what is it that you want? What are your action steps? What do you need to make those happen? Do you know how to act on each of these, or do you need support? And if you need support, what kind of support do you need? And then be willing to ask for them.
Absolutely, yes.
And it's the staying in our own swamp. And I'll give you a little personal example of that. I was going through a really rough time with, I'm a single mom, have a couple of young boys still at home. My youngest is an interesting challenge who's forcing me to grow in amazing ways. And a few years ago, I was going through a really rough point. And I started doing something what I called was the swamp diaries, where I would actually videotape me going through my own process of tapping and talking and crying and verbally journaling where I was at, feeling emotional. Yeah, it was raw stuff. And the few people, because I was
courage to do that.
It was. And the feedback that I got from it was astounding. Those that were in the healing field were going, oh no, you can't share that, because people aren't going to want to work with you if you're still in your own stuff. Those outside of the healing field were like, oh my God, I can so relate to you. Thank you for showing me this. When
Mm-hmm.
can we book an appointment?
Yeah, yeah,
I was like, wow.
yeah, yeah. That's powerful, powerful stuff. Yes.
So it's a getting real and getting transparent and saying,
Being real. Be real. Yeah.
this is what I want to do. I know I can do it, but I don't know how to do steps 1, 4, and 7. Can you
Mm,
help me with that? Sure. Love
sure.
to. Yeah. So,
Yes.
I think that's part of what's this year has really been about is it is real. Shit just got real. Really real.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
You're wanted.
Oh, sorry about that. It'll stop in a minute.
It's okay. I finally remembered to
Silly.
turn off my other
It was an
computer.
aha moment, and that's when the bells began to ring. Oh.
So, yes, that brings it back to I'm not educated enough, and it all comes back to just being really open
Mm.
and honest with what it is that you're wanting to accomplish.
Yeah.
What is
And
it that you
being
need to
honest with
accomplish it?
yourself. The excuses, that's really all they are. It's just excuses.
Yep. Yep.
And if you're and if you really feel a block in moving forward, maybe there's a reason that you haven't tapped into, as it were,
Yes.
that you need and the journaling is a powerful technique
Yes, it is.
to find that stuff.
Yep.
And even if people who have never journaled before, even just if one word keeps coming over, I have actually done 3 pages of just yes, 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 all over, or I don't know how, or asking the question over and over and over, and just and then nothing comes out, but I see a vision, so I'll draw a little dolphin or a bird or something, and it's amazing how you look back on that and you go, oh, okay, and somehow it triggers something inside there, and it
Yeah.
releases it.
And there are so many things that are going through my head right now when you were saying you wrote one word for 3 pages. There are times when I would go and I would look up what that one word meant, because there would generally be something in one of the really bizarre translations of the word or where the root word came from that would answer or explain why that word was circling.
Mm-hmm.
Other times I would just have one word, and it was never something so nice as yes. It was always a 4-letter swear word, generally starting with an F. And it's because
What's the really deep esoteric meaning of that word?
having to step outside of myself, actually,
Hmm.
because I knew what I needed to do, what I was being asked to do, what I needed to do to make the next thing happen, and I was fighting it tooth and nail. So that's where that word came from, over and over, because I knew that I couldn't avoid it anymore. If I wanted B, I had to go through A3. I had to go around that boulder, and I didn't want to.
I'm so glad you said that, because I was just about to ask you to repeat that once again. Nobody tells you how hard it is.
No.
Nobody tells you.
No.
I think I mentioned this in an earlier meeting, but I'm going to say it again. You know Gwen Stefani?
Uh-huh.
She's one of my favorite singers. I just love her stuff. And she does an advertisement. It's a commercial for Windows. And it sticks in my head. I hear it echoing in my head. She says, writing music is so hard, but I love it.
Yes.
And everything is going to be so much harder. That none of it is easy. None of it is easy. It's always going to be so much harder. But that is what makes it so rewarding.
Yep.
It's like you said, the universe is asking you to show that it's something you really want. You have to step up and ask for it. And you have to step up and do it. You have to put your own skin in the game, as it were.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten to the point now where I get excited when I get close to another personal swamp because I know I can get through it and I know that there's something amazing down there for me and I know that things are going to be so much easier on the other side. So
Well,
do I
I've got to tell you, Jen, you have given me amazing validation just in the reading that you did the astrological reading that you just did. You said that there is a there's a window of opportunity from July 16th to August 15th,
Mhm.
and I I could feel this tingling and this stuff going on when you said that, because what has happened in my own meditations is I've been wondering, why haven't I reached that tipping point? I'm moving. I've got a project, and it's giving. I have to spend so many hours on it, and I'm putting so much effort into it, and it's not moving quite as fast as I want to. And every time I ask, well, when is it going to give? When am I going to feel that lift? I keep seeing midsummer, late July, early August. I keep seeing that's where the light is. And I'm thinking, oh, can I hang on that long?
Yes.
And now I understand why. It's happening everywhere. And I was really laughing how we were laughing. You're saying, when you go, I really didn't write this.
I know.
Because when
I know.
we've been talking about this, Oh, what are you doing?
Oh, you have no idea.
Oh. I got to tell you something funny, though. This is how old I am. I wrote down 1914, and I'm going, what's wrong with that? Boy, maybe that was a past life or something. I mean, what was happening in the summer of 1914? I got to go look that one up now.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, it should be an interesting research project for you.
Well, Jen, it has been, like always, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Likewise.
Starting my own business has been, I realize I've spent my entire life starting my own business, and I have gone through every epic fail there is to go through. And I've been a bit fearful to share it. And when you just shared what you did with was it the video journaling, that's ingenious. That's ingenious. And
Really difficult.
I know that what I've gone through, that I've got an awful lot to share with people. And
Yes.
And starting your own business is a very scary thing. And sometimes just the personal development alone, the holistic healing, is a very scary thing. We've both been to hell and back.
Yes.
And every person in the world, whether you've been through it or not, you will be through it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have been through it, then you have a story to tell.
Exactly.
And there's no time to waste.
Yep.
So let us help you to find those, blocks, to move those blocks, to have those aha moments, and then step forward and move forward. So,
Absolutely.
Reach out to us. I've been having a lot of people reaching out to me on Google Plus as well as on Facebook. I'm sure you have too, Jen, and it's been really wonderful. I want to say thank you to everybody, and continue to do that. Continue to reach out to us.
Yes.
Ask us those questions. For anybody watching the recording, throw some comments in. Give us some feedback. Let us know if you're resonating with what we're saying. Because we are here to help. We're here to offer the help. That's why we're here every single Thursday. Yep. Despite that long list of other excuses that we'd rather, it's rainy, the leaves are wet. Whatever. We're here for you.
Yes. And you were wondering what the tears were about, and it's about that piece that we really are here to serve you, and to find out that what I came across that resonated with me sharing with you, provided confirmation to you. That's why I do what I do, because of the difference that it's made for you. And so that, to me, was validation that I am doing what I was meant to do.
Yes, we struck. I don't know if we actually mentioned this, but we really need to drive this point home. Is that we are all empathetic creatures,
Yes.
and we do not need to be self-absorbed, because once we turn it and go into the altruism of it, and we open up. Even if it's communication, we realize that the other person we're communicating to it is going through something similar. We're all going through this similar stuff. You just read something that probably struck a chord with many people that
Yes.
it touched, and if it didn't, it would shock me. I think there might be some self-denial there, because the more we acknowledge that we are interconnected, and that it's not always our stuff. It could be coming from somebody else. We could be experiencing something else, because we can raise our level of awareness to that point. And when we do, we don't even have to worry about implementation. We don't even have to, because we will naturally want to act, and we will act.
Yes. Yes.
It's
Absolutely.
It's not even a question.
Yep.
And I've been
Exactly.
finding that just in the last few weeks, I've just been going like a bat out of hell, doing all the work that instead of beating myself over not doing it in the past, I know now I'm ready for it, and that's why I'm doing it now.
Yeah. Awesome. That's just fabulous. Thank you so much for sharing.
Great, yes. And thank you so much, Jen. It's been wonderful.
Yeah.
Great.
Absolutely. Okay, so that's it for now. This is Jennifer with the academyofholistichealing.com, and we are scheduled for next Thursday, same bat time, same bat channel, with another one of the top 10 limiting beliefs. Any closing thoughts, Michaela?
I love you all. Love from the universe.
Yay.
The universe loves you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Michaela.
Thank you, Jen. Bye.